Welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Jake Gordon and Alex Lorda. Charlie Morton towed the rubber for the Braves last night, and he was spectacular. And he's been spectacular all year. And this was the best I've seen him in quite some time. But I remember there were a lot of naysayers after the Braves gave him that contract for 1 year, $20 million. And I had to remind them, hey, 1 year, $20 million for a free agent starting pitcher. Did you see the guys? Taijuan Walker signed a 4-year, like $85 million deal. That guy is garbage compared to Charlie Morton. Jose Quintana had one good season, signed for like $60 million. These guys are garbage compared to Charlie Morton. So getting him for 1 year, $20 million was a bargain. He's bounced back in a big way. Having a full, healthy offseason is clearly made a huge impact on who he is as a pitcher. And he looks like a genuine number two. And you got that guy for $20 million. And we need him now more than ever with Max Fried and Kyle Wright on the shelf.
Yeah, and we the big name last offseason, a lot of people wanted Jacob deGrom, and he got a 5-year, $185 million deal from the Rangers. And he had a really good start to the year, but now they're already saying we don't know when he's going to be back. The injury bug has already bitten. The contract already looks rough, and I mean, the Braves are never going to hand him that kind of money. But could you imagine if they were down deGrom, Fried, and Wright with no backup plan? I mean, it would just be awful. Charlie's been so consistent his entire career. He's gotten better. Like we talked about Brooke Lopez yesterday. The guy's developed a 3-point shot after not taking a three for like his first 7 years in the NBA. He's a DPOY candidate. Like it's like Charlie too. He's just getting better. He just keeps improving. And, his injuries for the most part have just been freak accidents. But other than that, he's been as reliable as they come.
Yeah, the end of last year was the tell-all. I mean, he looked like the old Charlie Morton at the end of the 2022 campaign after that broken leg and not being able to rehab with the team. And like you said, Chase, we need him to step up. And he is. I mean, with Max Fried and Kyle Wright down, we need him to be a number two. And he's pitching like the best number two in baseball right now.
Yeah, and I hate to, say it and pat myself on the back about these things, but I tell these people these things like I said on the last episode. Don't worry about Austin Riley. Oh, he hits a home run. He now has 4 hits in his last 3 games. I tell people last year Charlie Morton's going to be that guy. I tell people last year Dansby Swanson's going to be that guy. I'm telling you now, don't worry about AJ Minter. These guys are all really good players, and baseball is just a game where you have hiccups, you have bumps in the road. There's not a single. There's like 2 players in all of Major League Baseball that have like 0 hiccups. And that's like Mike Trout and maybe like Ohtani. And that's because Ohtani plays 2 positions. So if he's bad at the plate, he's a Cy Young on the mound. There's just like these guys have hiccups. Charlie Morton was coming off an injury. Like you have to put context into these things. He was coming off an injury. He didn't get to rehab with the team because of the lockout. He had a bad first part of the season, ended really strong. And I'm looking at him. He's throwing 97-mile-per-hour fastballs faster than he's ever thrown. And he still has the nastiest curveball in baseball. So it's like he was going to be good. He was always going to be good. And then when you talk about opportunity cost, $20 million for a starting pitcher in free agency, you don't just get 1 year, $20 million deals. That's what we paid injured Cole Hamels 3 years ago. Considering inflation, considering what Charlie Morton's done, if he went out there and wanted to get 1 year, $30 million, he could have gotten it like that, even after a bad season. So I knew this was a good deal. It's turned out fantastic. And he looks like we were talking about him as a number 4 because Wright and Fried. But legitimately, if you need him to be a number 2 in 2021, that's what he was. He started game 1. People forget that. It wasn't Max Fried. It was Charlie Morton on the mound in game 1 for the Braves in the 2021 playoff run. And that's who he can be. And when you talk about Max Fried and Kyle Wright being out and riding this ship, having Spencer Strider and Charlie Morton going out there and give you a 6-7 innings, keeping the bullpen fresh, it just cannot be understated.
Yeah, and I might be transposing him and Darno here, but if I'm not mistaken, he has an option next year too, right?
Yes, he has an option. So like he could be back next year for a $20 million, which, like I said, 1 year, $20 million pitching deals, they don't really exist. I mean, look what Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander are getting. Now, yes, they've been better over their careers than Charlie Morton. They're also getting paid $50 million for one season. So that's kind of what you're comparing them to.
Yeah, the best ability is availability too. And, it's great when you have a guy like Charlie, it's somebody, to really right the ship, because if he was having a shaky season, that's when you really probably got to go out and do something. But right now, I think the Braves still need to add somebody as great as Morton has been, just because they can't keep throwing bullpen games. It's just not sustainable. But yeah, I mean, he's been great. And it's baseball is one of the weird games where you can be unlucky for a month and a half, just straight up unlucky, and the numbers will tell you the story, and that's what you got to take a look at.
Yeah, in that same breath, Charlie Morton physically looks unreal. He doesn't look 39 years old. But a different aspect to look at this. This guy, has seen everything baseball's thrown at him. And for guys like Jared Schuster, who's pitching tonight, and Dylan Dodd, these younger guys, Charlie Morton is invaluable.
Yeah, I actually think that's a great point because, if you go look at Kyle Wright actually switched to the Charlie Morton curveball, and that was a big unlocking in his success last year. And there's a lot of guys that are doing very similar things, and he has that kind of effect on them. So yes, that veteran presence also cannot be understated, especially for $20 million. Coming up after the break, we got our Jeff's Stop Tweeting moment of the day.